or deposit of a financial institution if it should fail. And for even more information, you can visit their new website at www.jdic.org, and you can follow the social media platforms for the latest information.
JDIC, protecting deposits for you and me.
The time by Kari Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The Business News headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible.
Private sector promises, democracy warnings, and the tech titans at war. Good evening and welcome to CBX News for Monday, August 25, 2025. I'm Rochelle Moncrief. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast, locally, Jamaica Labour Party unveils its manifesto, betting big on the private sector to drive the next economic chapter. On the regional front, American non-profit organization the Carter Center warns Guyanese banks not to stifle the opposition ahead of the September 1 elections. And over on the global stage, tech billionaire Elon Musk escalates his legal battle with the Apple and OpenAI, claiming antitrust violations in the AI space. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
We get the big contract. 50,000 units a month for 3 years. Great. Won't need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange Junior Market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
Coming along well.
Thanks, man. You know, it's a long time I've been working at it.
I can see that. I saw your mail by the gate, so I'll pick it up for you.
But tell me something, why are you still receiving dividend checks by mail?
What do you mean about that?
You need to give JCST a mandate.
You know me hear about the mandate them? I'm going over there right now.
A mandate means giving instructions to the Jamaica Central Securities Depository Limited, JCST, relating to the handling of your dividend or interest payment. There are 3 types of mandates. The first is a bank mandate. The second is a hold mandate. Lastly, we have what we call a third-party mandate, with which the investor may wish to send their dividend or interest to someone other than the parties on their account or institution of their choice.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Serious about building Jamaica? Build with solid PVC pipes and conduits, manufactured in Jamaica by Phosphate, made to the highest standard. Solid PVC pipes and conduits are made in Jamaica by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Available at hardware stores across the island. Take some solid advice, support our economy, and build well. Buy solid PVC pipes. Next time, ask for solid brand PVC pipes and conduits. Call our distributors or Phosphate at 876-937-5099.
The local news is brought to you by Darriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with major economic updates on Jamaica's general election campaign trail. The Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, is staking its re-election bid on the conviction that Jamaica's future prosperity will be built on the backs of private enterprise. In its freshly released manifesto, The Next Chapter, the party outlines an ambitious reform package that seeks to cut red tape, lower costs, and ignite new waves of investment, particularly for small businesses, creatives, and local producers. At the heart of the plan is a sweeping tax and regulatory overhaul. The JLP promises to consolidate statutory deductions into a single payment, phase out the asset tax on financial institutions, and push toward a long-term 15% base rate for personal income tax. Measures, it says, will simplify business operations and leave entrepreneurs with more cash to reinvest. Speaking at a JLP mass rally on Sunday, Prime Minister and party leader Dr. Andrew Holness pledged to raise the income tax threshold to $2 million over the next 2 years, continuing what it calls a deliberate, fair path to lifting take-home pay.
We were the party that delivered $1.5 million in the income tax threshold when the PNP said it couldn't be done. We have raised it to 1.7 million, and we will increase it to 2 million over the next 2 years so that your take-home pay continues to rise. Over time, we will reduce the base rate of personal income tax from 25 to 15% on a phased basis and shift gradually from direct to indirect taxation, which will allow hard-working Jamaicans to keep more of their paycheck.
Prime Minister Holness says personal income increases must be undertaken the right way.
Our commitment is to continue to increase the threshold the right way. Remember now, why you listen to me good, Jamaica is a country of inequity. Some people have a lot and some people have very little. Any policy you make amounts to a distribution of some value or equity. You can make policy that will give people who are already getting more and people who don't have, they get less. When you do the income tax threshold, you have to be careful that you don't ask the person who is not working to pay more tax while the person who is working pays less tax.
Prime Minister and JLP leader Dr. Andrew Holness. But the opposition People's National Party, PNP, has a very different pitch, one that promises faster and deeper relief for taxpayers. Opposition leader and party president Mark Golding says a government under his watch would immediately raise the income tax threshold to $3.5 million, wiping out tax obligations for thousands of Jamaicans currently paying 25%. Speaking at a PNP Central Jamaica Mass rally in Mandeville on Sunday, Golding argues that this bold step would put more money in the hands of struggling families, boost consumption, and stimulate the economy.
We will be increasing the tax threshold so that persons who currently pay tax at 25%, if they're earning up to $3.5 million a year, they will be paying tax at 0% under the next PNP government. We'll be raising the threshold to give them a tax-free income.
The PNP frames its pledge as a bold redistribution policy aimed at lifting living standards and accelerating growth from the bottom up.
We will raise that tax threshold further and further because we want money to be in the pockets of those who are struggling right now to make ends meet so they can consume goods and services and make the economy stronger, make their lives better, and make Jamaica move up, up, up.
Opposition leader and PNP President Mark Golding. The difference in tax strategy between the JLP and the PNP is shaping up to be one of the defining economic battles of the 2025 general election campaign. In other news, Yellow Media Group, the Caribbean's leading business visibility company, is making a bold shift in its 65th year. The company is phasing out third-party services like website development and social media ads to concentrate on its proprietary platforms. At the center of this new strategy is findyellow.com, now refreshed with AI-enhanced listing management services, which synchronizes business details across more than 200 platforms, and print search solutions modernized with QR codes and real-time analytics. Executive Director Keisha Maria Cool-Lartigue says the focus is on what works, delivering measurable results for Caribbean businesses in a search-driven marketplace. Yellow also plans to launch deals, helping advertisers showcase promotions and a marketplace connecting businesses and consumers. With this transformation, the company says it is moving from service provider to strategic partner, guiding businesses to show up where it matters and grow with confidence. And now for news from the Bank of Jamaica on how the currency markets traded today. In Monday's currency trading session, the US dollar is selling for $160.81, the Canadian for $116.89, the pound sterling for $216.42, while $188.46 is the going rate for the euro. And now for news from the JSE on how the local equities markets traded today. In Monday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 111 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 44 declined, and 24 traded firm. Today's winners are One Great Studio Company, 138 Student Living Jamaica Variable Preference, Paramount Trading Jamaica, and the Limnads and Bards. While leading the losers are Sagicor Select Funds, Manufacturing and Distribution, Jetcon Corporation, Caribbean Assurance Brokers, and Guardian Holdings. The main index declined by 1,569.19 points, or 0.50%, to close at 313,769.28 points. The junior market index declined by 3.39 points, or 0.10%, to close at 3,398.91 points.
And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariChris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard.
And as CBX News continues our election education campaign, in today's market education feature, we're defining the term constituency. A constituency is a defined geographical electoral district that elects a member of parliament, MP, to the House of Representatives, the lower house of Jamaica's parliament. Jamaica is divided into 63 constituencies, and each elects one MP under the first-past-the-post voting system, where the candidate with the most votes wins. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, is responsible for setting and reviewing constituency boundaries to ensure fair representation. Reviews take into account population size, demographic changes, and other key factors. Examples of constituencies are East Rural St. Andrew, East Kingston and Port Royal, Hanover Western, St. James Central, Manchester Southern, and Portland Eastern.
The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariChris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards.
And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next.
The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments.
Serious about building Jamaica? Build with solid PVC pipes and conduits, manufactured in Jamaica by Phosphate, made to the highest standard. Solid PVC pipes and conduits are made in Jamaica by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Available at hardware stores across the island. Take some solid advice, support our economy, and build well. Buy solid PVC pipes. Next time, ask for solid brand PVC pipes and conduits. Call our distributors or Phosphate at 876-937-5099.
Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Continuing with news coming from Guyana's general election campaign trail. The United States nonprofit organization, the Carter Center, is warning that Guyana's fragile democratic process is being undermined by both state and private sector actions as the country heads to the polls on September 1. In its latest pre-election report, the U.S.-based democracy watchdog said 3 commercial banks closed the accounts of at least 40 candidates and associates of the opposition party We Invest in Nationhood, WIN, whose presidential candidate, Azruddin Mohammed, was sanctioned by Washington last year. The center warned that the moves go beyond international standards set by the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the U.S. Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, which calls for a risk-based approach rather than blanket de-risking. It cautioned that overcompliance could discourage political participation and distort electoral integrity by punishing individuals for their political affiliation rather than any illicit transaction. With Guyana's banks deeply tied to the U.S. financial system, the closure underscores the delicate balance between compliance and access. The Carter Center urged the private sector to safeguard democratic rights by ensuring decisions do not discriminate against individuals for exercising those rights. Bahamian airline Western Air is charting an ambitious course for growth, preparing to increase its fleet to 9 Embraer jets in the coming months while capitalizing on near full loads on its Florida routes this summer. President and CEO Rexy Roll said the airline's Fort Lauderdale service has gained steady traction after a slow start, now attracting a growing share of international travelers. We've certainly seen that our Florida service has steadily grown and it is very well received, particularly during the summertime, Roll explained. It took a while for people to even know that we go there. Now that the word has gotten out, we just wanted to make sure before adding additional flights that we are giving people a good experience, she added. Domestically, demand remains strong across the Bahamas. Roll stressed that while requests for additional flights are high, Western Air is prioritizing reliability over rapid expansion. In other news, the National Gas Company, NGC, of Trinidad and Tobago has posted a profit after tax of TT $1.6 billion for the year ended December 31, 2024, marking a sharper turnaround from its TT $1.3 billion loss in 2023. The recovery was largely driven by the absence of impairment charges, which had weighed heavily on last year's results, delivering an overall TT $2.9 billion year-on-year improvement. Despite the rebound, Chairman Gerald Ramdeen cautioned that the group faces mounting liquidity pressures with receivables from the Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission, ballooning to TT $6.3 billion and projected to rise by TT $1.2 billion annually if left unresolved. The closure of the Nikwan plant also added TT $145 million in outstanding receivables. Key risks loom ahead with several upstream and downstream contracts expiring in December 2025 amid a constrained gas supply environment and rising costs. However, NGC advanced its portfolio in 2024 by completing the restructuring of Atlantic LNG Trains 2 and 3, shipping its first cargo under the new structure in October. It also pursued upstream acquisitions, including 20% interest in the Karuma, Cipero, and Rio Claro onshore blocks, as well as a joint venture with BP on the Coquina block, though work there remains paused pending renewal of an OFAC license. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 17 securities, of which 6 advanced, 5 declined, and 6 traded firm. Today's winners are Trinidad Cement, National Enterprises, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, while leading the losers are LJ Williams B, Angostura Holdings, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and Scotia Trinidad and Tobago. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index advanced by 1.86 points to close at 1,459.60. The Composite Index advanced by 0.96 points to close at 1,007.44. The cross-listed index remained at 73.32. The SME index remained at 96.40. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment with Rondine Williams is up next.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. Oh, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. In international news, another front has opened in the battle over artificial intelligence. Elon Musk's companies X, AI, and his social media platform X have filed a lawsuit against Apple and OpenAI, accusing them of colluding to block AI competitors. The case, lodged in federal court in Texas, claims Apple is using its dominance in the smartphone market to favor OpenAI by integrating ChatGPT into its devices while suppressing rival chatbots like xAI's Grok in Apple Store rankings. Musk argues the arrangement locks out innovative and entrenches monopolies in both smartphones and generative AI. Apple and OpenAI have not publicly commented on the lawsuit, though OpenAI CEO Sam Altman dismissed Musk's allegations on X, saying they were ironic given Musk's own business practices. Apple has previously insisted its App Store policies are fair and free of bias, featuring thousands of apps across categories. The suit marks the latest clash between Musk and Altman. The two co-founded OpenAI in 2015, but Musk left 3 years later. Since then, he has accused the company of abandoning its founding mission and filed multiple lawsuits. This latest battle comes as Apple deepens its AI partnerships and as Musk tries to push his Grok chatbot into the mainstream. And from the courtroom battle in the tech world, we turn to Europe, where political and fiscal pressures are shaking investor confidence. French equities tumbled on Monday, with the CAC 40 sliding 1.6% to close at 7,843, the weakest performing among Europe's major indexes. The sell-off came as investors faced renewed concern over France's fiscal outlook and rising political risk. French sovereign bond spreads weakened, with haute yields back towards spring high and tightening fund condition for corporates, particularly in the banking sector. that triggered sharp losses for financial heavyweights. Adding to the cautious tone, European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde acknowledged the Eurozone's labor market resilience, but also underscored ongoing inflation pressures despite successive rate hikes. And Italy's market also felt the pullback, though on a smaller scale, as investors took profits after last week's rally. Italy's main stock index edged lower on Monday. The FTSE MIB lost 0.2% to close at 43,228, as investors booked profits after last week's rally, driven by signals from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell that a September rate cut may be on the table. European equities also retreated after nearing record highs on hopes of U.S. monetary easing. On the corporate side, UniCredit slipped 0.4% after converting part of its Commerzbank stake into shares, raising its voting rights to about 26%, with total holdings projected to climb to 29%. Intesa Sanpaolo and Generali also posted small declines. And the legal battle over cuddly toys has come to an end. Jazzwares, the Berkshire Hathaway-owned maker of the hit Squishmallows, has dropped its lawsuit against Build-A-Bear Workshop. According to a filing in Los Angeles federal court, both sides agreed to dismiss the case with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled. Attorneys for the companies have not disclosed the terms of the settlement. Jazzwares sued last year, claiming Build-A-Bear's Squishers line copied the look and feel of its billion-dollar Squishmallows brand, which went viral on TikTok during the pandemic. Build-A-Bear denied the allegations, countering that squishy, pillow-like plush toys have been trending long before Squishmallow. A judge has allowed the case to move forward, but the agreement now ends the dispute outside the courts. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. Please do stay with us. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Hi, I'm Nielsen Rose, host of Let's Talk Stocks, reminding you that health is indeed wealth and time is really money. Why not spend a little time with us? Weekday mornings, 9 to 9:30 a.m. for your daily dose of business, economic, and investment insights.
And now to recap our top stories. In the local news, JLP unveils manifesto, bets big on private sector to drive Jamaica's next economic chapter. Regionally, the Carter Center warns Guyanese banks against stifling opposition ahead of September 1 elections. And internationally, Elon Musk escalates AI legal battle with Apple and OpenAI over antitrust claims. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of Rondine Williams and the entire production team, I'm Rachelle Moncrief. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
I'm Tashana Mullings of Next Step Lifelong Educational Services, and you're watching Caribbean Business Exchange, your region, your business, your source. Keep it locked.